Welcome to the World Changers podcast. It's your host, Isaiah Tyreek. Um, Today is officially the day to drop and record, which I'm doing now, episode 2 of the World Changers podcast. What we'll be talking about today is basically love and relationships. Going to give you some key points. So, the key points we're going to talk about today is unity, polygamy, love, side chicks, side relationships, which is kind of almost along the same lines as polygamy, but we're going to also talk about is marriage dead. We're going to talk about cheating. We're going to talk about commitment and trust issues and compatibility issues. I feel these are very important topics that we can really go in depth with when it comes to relationships and love because a lot of us face these things. So, one thing I always do, I tell you this every episode, when we talk about a particular topic or a subject, I tend to pull up the definition. So, we're going to pull up the definition of love, which is one of the most used words in America, or shoot, probably around the world. So many people are like, oh, I love you, or they talk about love, but they're using it in the wrong context. They put in the love for a person, which is an emotional feeling or a connection to another person on the same level as I love playing cards. I mean, that's incomparable. But anyway, the definition of the word love is the word that we tend to use. I basically said this part. The word that we tend to use loosely, we misuse it daily, while some only use it to only to benefit what they want or what they're after, or what they're trying to get. We do this, but then distort the real genuine definition and action of the word love. So when we sit here and basically use the word loosely or use it in the wrong context, we're distorting the true definition and the meaning of love. We're distorting the the impact the word love should really have. It should be a display of your heart, not a display of a temporary emotion. So when you look into the definition, it says it's a great interest and pleasure in something. Yes, you can love something and say, "Well, I love cars and I'm passionate about it." That's great, but on the same level, on the same in the same context, when you say you love a person, I believe that love for a person should be greater than a love and a passion for a car. Why? Because a person can reciprocate the same energy or the same feelings back to you. A car can't. A car can't feel those feelings. You say, yeah, maybe a car could because I take care of it, give it its oil change, and I bathe it. But at the same time, it's a material thing. Material things should never be on the same level as as love for a natural human being. So we can say love is basically developing a deep connection with someone and giving them our heart and trusting them not to break it. That's how I look at love. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to give you my heart. I'm going to give you a big part of me. I'm going to step out and be vulnerable and let you know that I love you. But I'm hoping, just hoping that you won't break my heart. So when we think about love, love is entangled with your feelings. And I believe that's why some of us are confused when we think about real, genuine love. We confuse it with strong emotions. We confuse it with strong feelings for somebody, which can be very similar to love. But you have to understand and have the knowledge to distinguish the difference between a strong feeling and a strong emotion. So you don't want to be one of those type of people who goes around saying, "Oh, by the first couple of days or weeks with a person, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you," and 2 weeks later from there, it's like, okay, I don't love you. Those feelings gone. Well, you never loved that person. What it was is really just those strong feelings and emotions. That's very similar to love, but there's a thin line between it that you have to understand how to separate the two and say these are feelings and this is real love. This is genuine love and this is just emotions that I have for you because we're at the beginning stage. Feelings are starting to get deeper, things are starting to blossom. So it's important for us not to put those two things on the same level because we'll always end up hurt, confused, or hurting somebody else. and then not believing in love anymore just because we confuse love with strong emotions. Or maybe the person that you was dating with or dating, you know, did the same thing to you and it kind of tick you off with love. Some of us will do anything for love, which is a deep desire God instilled in humans. Why? Because we are people built to feel emotions. We're built to love one another. We was built and created in the image of God, which represents love. Uh, Even down to the most single person, they still have a desire to be loved by somebody or something. And somebody, sometimes some of those people will tend to take that and say, I'm loved by my cat, I'm loved by my dog, I'm loved by this person, so and so, because they don't have a human to love them, or maybe that human that they had in the past was not, you know, adequate enough. They didn't love him adequately, so it caused a conflict of interest. So maybe they went to find love in something else. Some people find love in food, but as I said, that can't be on the same level as being loved by a person. So some of us want it so bad, we want love so bad that we seek it in all the wrong places to obtain this good thing. That's another thing that a lot of people tend to do when it comes to love, that they will constantly seek in the wrong places for a good thing. I can't say, okay, I need ice for my water. I can't go into the most hottest place in the house or to the fireplace and hope that there's ice in there. I mean, this is something I need that I know cannot be in those type of places. And I say that because it's a analogy. Basically it's saying, well, I look for love in a place where love will not be found. But yet I still go to these places and I think I find love, but yet I found something that is counterfeit, that is only tearing me down and making me feel more like a hopeless romantic. It's important for us to know where to seek. It's important for us to know the right places to be. So many people I've seen in the past, look for love in the club. When we know 90% of the people in the club are not there for love. They're there for a dance, they're there for a drink, and they're there for a one night stand or a fling, whatever you want to call it, which isn't good. Shouldn't be that way. I feel that when you have a intimate connection with somebody, or an intimate connection, even if it's through physical touch, that there should be some type of emotional connection between the two. I don't feel that one night stands are great because one, they have and they create this thing called soul ties. Spiritual soul ties are real. Anybody you have intercourse with, or that you have some type of physical interaction with, I believe, these spiritual soul ties, tie you to that person some way, somehow. You may not feel it or you may not look at it because you may not understand it, but yet it's there. And I feel that anytime you do set out to have intercourse, it should be after marriage, but we already know it's 2020, things like that isn't really going on. However, when you do, I believe that there should be some type of connection. It shouldn't be just a pleasure thing. When you're making love, if you're married, or whatever, if you're making love to somebody that you're in a relationship with, and it just seems like it's just a pleasure feel, or just something just to settle yourself and make you feel better or make that person feel better, then genuinely it wasn't a connection. But if you're making love and there's a connection, that should, amplify the feelings that you have for that individual and they for you. All right. So it's important that we don't seek something that is good and pure in places that are far from good and pure. However, many of us do experiencing disappointments and hurt and toxic experience. Tons of people experiencing toxic experiences right now. You got stalkers, you got people who key cars, you got people who just abusive mentally, physically, people who just use you for sex and manipulate. There's so many toxic experiences you can experience by searching for love or something good in a bad place, and discovering that this person or this thing that you started, that you thought you had feelings for, was more toxic, and now all of something you're just in a web of lies, a web of hurt, a web of distractions, a web of letdowns. And some of us secretly want love, but act as if we don't because we fear being hurt. We feel being vulnerable. What others will only reject, will only get us rejected, or it would cause us not to feel loved in the same way we're dishing out love. Now, when you think about that last part, when I say you're not feeling love the same way that you may love them, sometimes a lot of people get discouraged because things don't move at their pace. It's important that you don't get discouraged when things do not move at your pace. Why? Simply because it's been plenty of times I express love, and the other person may not have loved me back at that same pace until later down the line. You know what I'm saying? So it's important that we not rush other people into love, because then if we rush them and force them, either we can lose them, or two, they can just give us the word and once again use it loosely in order to make you feel good and special when they really don't love you. So it's important to harness our ambitions for love, express it. I'm not saying hold it in, but I'm saying harness it, control it, and don't force it upon somebody else, but yet let it happen in due time. And if it don't happen, then I look at that's God saying, here's the key, here's the door, leave. It ain't for you. I mean, it's simple as that, but don't fuss and fight and push for something that isn't meant to be at the moment. However, when you are in a relationship, what is it that you seek? That's a question that you should ask. Is it longevity? Is it just company? Is it a companion? Is it a lifelong partner? Is it a running mate? Is it love? Or is it all the above? Me personally, I think it's all of the above. I'm looking for the full package. I'm looking for something that's going to, suffice me, that's going to make me feel good, that's going to make the other person feel good, that we got a connection, we're clicking on all vibes, man. We're building legacies and empires, man. We're doing our thing. That is something I want when I look at a love in a relationship. Not too many people look at it that way, because some people don't even want love. So if you don't want love, you're canceling out longevity, you're canceling out a companion, you're canceling out a lifelong partner, and you're canceling out a running mate. Why? Because you don't want love. You just want something that person may have. And for some people, male or female, they want the very thing that's between the leg rather than the very thing that's between, the head. It's the mind. I rather want to intrigue your mind. I would want to, make a connection with you mentally, physically, spiritually, all three levels. I don't want just a physical attraction and a physical interaction, because a physical attraction and a physical interaction can go away just by changes of the body or changes of the appearance or changes of attraction. Because if that's the only thing that you're interested in, then you come across another female or another male and be like, oh, well, I want the red Ferrari. Then you're going to go chase that and leave what you have. See, but when you have a spiritual connection, strong foundation, when you have a mental connection, another strong foundation, then you implement the physical attraction, then God knows you got something good, and you starting the fire, and that love flame is kindled, and you're just moving on in life. I feel these are very important tools, because a lot of people in 2020 do not think this way. And they're beginning to lose their way when it comes to love. And they're beginning to think love isn't real. So yet they think, some people even think love comes from sex when it don't. Being vulnerable, sharing my past. I know in my past that I had relationships when I wasn't married and I was having, sex, intercourse, whatever you want to call it, with a woman. And therefore, when I had intercourse and made love to her, whatever you want to call it, she began to say, hey, a few days later, I love you. And me personally knew it didn't sit right with me, because it wasn't real. It wasn't genuine. It's just because sex brought an emotional attachment, spiritual soul tie, but also emotional connection. Emotional, not love, emotional, strong feelings, emotions, like we talked about earlier. It brought this to the table and presented it as if it's love, pretty packaged, nice. And it wasn't until after we had, sex that this particular thing, the word love began to drop and hit the table. So that let me know it wasn't real. And a lot of people think about it in that perspective and begin to say, I love you, or fall in love with a person just because they had a physical connection with the person. That's not love. And love do not just blossom from sex, because on a bad day, if the sex go bad or something happens and it's not happening anymore, then what happened to that love, quote unquote, that you said you had for that person? Okay, on to the next thing. I know for me, it's all the above. I'm one who refuses to waste my time, the time of others. Got to be, you got to learn how to compromise. You got to learn how to consider other people's feeling when you're thinking about a relationship. Just don't consider your time and your effort, but consider the other person's time and effort as well. You have to be on the same page. You have to have kindness, and you have to have understanding to understand, a relationship are, both people or both parties that's entering this relationship. So I don't want to relate. I don't want to, waste anybody's time, effort, or my own. I don't want to be in a relationship just for a label or clout, but I'm looking for someone I can grow with, someone I can build with, someone I can laugh with, someone I can start a family with, someone that will push and motivate me to become greater, and I do the same for them. I feel that's very important, because nobody should ever want to be in a relationship just to be in a relationship. Dating isn't meant to be something that you just wear as a title. Oh, we're dating, or it's a badge of honor. I got this baddie over here. She's bad. I'm dating her. I'm cool. It shouldn't be that way. Dating is meant for you to actually learn about each other and see if you guys are compatible with one another. And if you are compatible, it's ultimately to secure your prize and marry each other when you both are ready for it. That's what I look at as dating. So when I think about dating and starting a relationship, that's what it is. It's like a test and trial period. And during that test and trial period, you're learning about each other. And it's okay if you're dating and things don't work. It don't seem like you guys click. Don't seem like you guys are on the same page, on the same level. If you want to give it a try and keep going, maybe things can turn, and the tables can turn, and you can find areas that you may click in. But it's okay if you don't. It's okay to let it go. It's not a point. It's not the thing about being disappointed. It's about understanding that this isn't a person that you need to be with. It's about understanding that maybe this isn't the person God put in your life for you to be with. Everything may seem ideal at the beginning, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, don't be discouraged. I know feelings may get entwined, and emotions may be thrown into there, sprinkle a little bit of emotions on there. But the important factor is to understand that if this doesn't work, there's billions of other people out here that may work. But it's about being patient. It's about understanding. Do not force anything upon yourself, or do not force anything upon another person, because you're going to be stuck with the grenade and it's going to explode in your face. What I'm saying is this: if you're not clicking on any levels and nothing that's working, but yet you're still pushing for this particular relationship, you go down the line, get married, then next thing you know, you're still holding a grenade. The other person is not, because the other person is not on the same page as you, and they're not thinking how you think, and they just on it for the ride. But yet you force this particular thing, and next thing you know, this other person say, okay, this is not what I want. I do not want this relationship. I'm not happy. Boom, grenade blows up in your face. Then you end up, hurt, buried in emotions, while that person is technically fine, and they're walking away and they're moving on with their life. It's important for us not to force anything. But like I said, if you're clicking on all levels and firing on all cylinders and everything seems good and your values is matching, your goals are matching, your vision is clicking, then go for it. It's important to know when you're in a dating relationship and phase that you're auditioning for the real thing. You're working to the next phase or the next big move. I mean, it's audition. If you're into acting, or trying to be an actress or actor, When you're auditioning, you're auditioning for the part, right? You're auditioning for the big prize, the big role, and then hopefully you'll get it. Same thing for the dating and relationship phase. What you do now in the dating phase and the relationship phase is what you're going to do later. That's why relationships are practice, and it's practice to resemble the real thing that you will obtain once you get through this phase, once you done auditioning and get the role. I look around and I see so many people that treat their relationship so poorly. They feel because there's no ring involved that they aren't obligated to stay committed to just that one person. They say, "Oh well, I'm just in a relationship, man. We just dating. Ain't no ring on my finger. I'm gonna do what I want." Wrong way to look at it. First of all, like I said, when you're dating, you're auditioning, and if you're treating the woman or the man like that now, then what are you think? What do you think is going to happen down the line? You're going to do the same thing. You're going to get so comfortable using using that word, that even when you get engaged to that person, you can still say, "Well, yeah, ain't no ring on my finger. She's I'm engaged, but ain't no ring on my finger. We ain't married yet. I put a ring on her finger, but we ain't married yet." And then next thing you know, the marriage come around. And then there's no excuse because you have a ring on your finger, but yet you just got so prone, you got so, you know, attached to doing what you was doing that you're gonna continue that same route, that same trial. You're gonna continue the same things and get the bad results and see, errors in your marriage and failure in your marriage. Why? Because you constantly couldn't discipline yourself in the beginning phase. In relationship, practice discipline. If you practice discipline now in a dating and relationship phase, then therefore you will begin to understand that when you get married and you had those years of discipline that you practiced and you implemented, and you wasn't being selfish, but you was being considerate of their emotions before you act, then that's a good thing. That's an awesome thing. That's a great thing. We're just gonna keep it moving. So what makes it worse is the same person who isn't loyal. It's the same person that you shouldn't give 100% to. But yeah, we have a lot of people who's in these type of relationships when one person in the party is giving 100% and the other person is giving you 50. If you're in a 150 type of relationship, something's wrong. It's not right. And if that person can't give you the other 50% to make their 50, that 50 100, then therefore do not exhaust any more time or energy into it, because you're going to only end up hurt. If you're in that relationship, don't say, "Well, this is just the way the person is," or "This is just the type of way the person loves." Like, no, don't settle for less. You understand, if you're if you're a person who gives 100, then you need to be with another person who gives 100. So y'all 100 could become 200, and y'all clicking on cylinders. Y'all great. Y'all building y'all dream relationship. Y'all building y'all dream future that y'all want. As I said, a relationship is an audition for the real thing. I personally believe that if you treat the person you're in a relationship with poorly just because you're not married, you will treat them poorly when you get married. If that's what you do, then don't even practice marriage. Don't even try to be in a relationship. If you're going to be one of those people who never gives 100% to anybody, do not be in a relationship. Do not waste anybody's time. Do not tell other people what they want to hear just to get into their pants or to get what you want, and then you out of there. Why? Because you're leaving other people damaged and hurt and broken. And then the right person comes along and has to be the person who tries to put this person back together. Nothing wrong with putting the person back together, but the object of the game is to never break the person. It's to build the person up and make sure that that person is at their best. And if you're going into a relationship with toxic behavior that's only going to break the person, then I need you to understand that this relationship isn't for you. Relationships aren't for you. You shouldn't be in a relationship until you're mature and ready. Like I said, it's just a glimpse of what you're doing now is just a glimpse of what you're going to do down the line. And they say practice make perfect. So if you're practicing good relationship traits now and characteristics and things of that nature, then you're going to be 100 down the line. Me personally, I had to learn. My marriage is over. I had situations in my life that me personally I had to deal with. Vice versa, we both have situations that we had to deal with. But at the end of the day, I allowed our disconnection, our discord, and our toxic behavior for each other to cause me to, you know, part ways with something that I should have treated better, or I could have treated better. I mean, vice versa. We have to understand each other. We have to understand each other trials. We have to understand each other flaws. We have to understand each other uh, battles internally. Your trials and your walk is not mine, but yet we're two people who was married, who's supposed to live as one, but yet we still face different battles. And it's important for us to acknowledge that, and it's important for us to work through it together. But the moment that you begin to separate yourself from one another, then those situations become more of a it seems like it's more of a crutch or much more of a problem that's going to handicap you and prevent you from becoming better or becoming greater. But you know, like I said, it's important that we give 100% in our relationships. So since we're talking about people giving 100% in our relationships, let's speak on those who have side chicks inside relationships. You know, having two relationships at one time isn't commitment. Me personally, I mean, common sense, it's cheating. There's no way you should have a side chick, a whole side relationship when you're in a relationship with a person that you quote unquote say is your main thing. Now, if this person is your main thing, why do you need a side piece? Like a lot of people treat relationships like meals. They think, okay, well, I got my main course, but yeah, I also have my sides too. Food, that's great. Love restaurants that give you a three-course meal and sides and everything. But when it comes to relationships, once again, we cannot treat love as material things, and we cannot adopt those type of structures and put it into a relationship because it would never work. I mean, who the heck will want a side chick anyway in a whole side relationship when you can't even handle the main thing? If you can't handle the main person, what make you think you're going to handle 2 to 3 other women? Women, what make you think you can handle 2 to 3 other men? I mean, and men, like, if we always talk about finances and the financial struggle, like, what makes you think that you can support financially this one person and then along with a whole nother person? That's not right. It's not normal. It's not common and shouldn't be common. And we should not adopt this way of thinking for a relationship. Like I said, that one partner that you can't count as your main is never getting 100%. If you got one side chick, then it's 50-50. Both of them getting 50. And then I've seen in certain cases where the main chick became the side chick and the side chick became the main chick, and then eventually the main chick get dumped off. I mean, I don't understand what the logic is in this world, but it's important that we change the way we look at relationships. We change the way we treat relationships. We change the way we treat people and individuals. Where do we get to the point of treating other people like dirt and only using other people to get what we want? That's not the way to go. A lot of people think they're playing chess, but they're playing checkers, and yet they look so simple because yet they're in this relationship for the wrong reasons and they're using people and hurting people. But yet, when this very thing that you constantly did to other people get treated and it get dished back at you, then you can't take it. And that's what I think a lot of people need to understand, that when you're in a relationship, learn commitment. Forget a side chick. Forget a side piece. None of that is important. Man, you're risking your own health and you're risking the health of another person. There's cases of people who literally have side chicks who that side chick is not your main chick. I'm pretty sure she's somebody else's main chick, or for women, main man. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're messing with other people as well because they're not priority uno in your life. So therefore, you're risking your health. And when I say you're risking your health, that person begins to sleep around and that person brings something to you. And you unknowingly, some cases, some people do know, bring something home. And now you ruin this person's life. You ruin your life. And now you're mad at this particular side chick for something that you already know is bound to happen. Why? Because there's no commitment between the two. There's only something that you do on the side. Think about it. So, ladies, if you're dating a man with a side chick, it's obvious to see that he doesn't care about you. He doesn't love you. He doesn't have the feelings for you. You're just a trophy on the shelf with the other ladies, and you should never decrease your value and your standards to be with somebody like this. Yes, even a trophy that was once cherished can be on the shelf and collect dust and become something that's just something on the back burner. And that's exactly how some of these men treat women when you have side chicks and side pieces. Some people will try to persuade you that you're number one uno, number one. But in reality, you're really competing to be number one. How? Because yet you're competing with a side chick who's getting the same percentage as you. This person is literally giving you 50%. Why? Because they have a side piece. And that side piece is actually getting the same 50% as you. When you think logically about it, that's freaking insane. Why would you want to commit into a relationship with somebody who's getting the same 50-50 of you? It's a coin toss. One day I might flick heads and be like, okay, well, main chick, you're gone. I'm going with the side piece today, and I'm going to treat her better. No, that's not the way to go, and that's not the way to be. That is definitely 100% toxic, and if you're subjecting yourself to that, then you're only going to get stuck with the grenade in your hand, and it's going to blow up right in your face. Relationships are a myth for these type of toxic behaviors. There are way too many diseases and sickness that can be spread amongst each other. You will never acquire the real, genuine love that you're wanting and desiring by settling for a person that you'll never have the 100% with. Society is corrupting the minds of people and misconstruing what love and relationships really is. Real love is bigger than sex, materialistic things, looks, body shapes, and sizes. And until we realize that, we will continue to be let down and hurt and disappointed, and we will continue to see failed marriages. Why? Because a lot of people are investing in marriage for the wrong reasons. A lot of people are starting relationships for the wrong reasons. A lot of people are starting relationships for finances. Like, money is everything. Money is decreasing in value every day we go. Inflation. And when you think about that, if you're investing in a marriage because of money, when that money goes away, will you still love that person? No, you're liable to say, well, I want a divorce, because once again, finance and sex are two of the main top reasons for divorces. And it just seems kind of crazy, but that's just the way the world is right now. And they need people like you and I, who's listening to this podcast, searching for real love and a relationship, to step up to the plate and learn from our mistakes and become better people and be a demonstrative role model to the world and for the world, to show them the real model of a relationship and a marriage. That's very important. Society has become very comfortable with lying to us and misguiding us. And they even promote polygamy, which in my book is another form of having a side piece. It's just much more of maybe the main person that you're with became in agreement with what you're doing, which isn't cool. But like I said, you're going to end up with the short end of the stick if you kind of indulge in these things. These things aren't right. These things just should not be done. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who's going to preach about it and say, oh, well, yeah, I'm with polygamy, this, that, and the third. But yet, when you understand that that's not the model of a marriage, then you shouldn't indulge in it. I mean, if you really love this one person that you say you love, then why do you need other people to feel adequately loved? Like, no, that's not true. You got to think about it. You love one person. Quote unquote, supposedly love this one person. You only need that one person. Why do you need extra chaos and extra baggage? I mean, me personally, when you think about polygamy, it's too many different personalities and problems in one room or one roof. Like, you got a person that you say, okay, I can't stand this trait with this person. This person always being emotional. Oh, well, this person always angry. Then it's like all this in one pot, man. That would drive you crazy, man. That would drive me insane. Not for me. I don't think it should be for nobody. I think, one person should be enough. I can never understand who would want their spouse to be in bed or in love or sharing their love life with another person. Especially, like I said, if you want something real and genuine, I mean, chase something real and genuine. Don't sit here and chase, a false perception of love. Chase the real thing. Relationships are built for two people, not multiple people. I'm not talking about a main chick and a side chick, a main man and a side man. No, I'm talking about two people that become one. That's you and the person that you're marrying are in a relationship one. Yes, it's meant for two people to become one. The funny thing is that there are people out here who tried this poly type relationship and they can't even handle one person in a simple relationship. What we need to do is really discover commitment. in a real relationship, we need to see what a real relationship look like. It seems like some of us have gotten to a point where we're living in greed and desiring things that aren't designed or meant for us. We have to realize that one woman or man is enough for us. As I said before, we haven't even mastered being with one person. So how can we think it's beneficial to try to be with two or three other people? How is that even helpful to our well-being or to us psychologically? Now that we're talking about commitment to one person, let's talk about commitment. So when we talk about commitment, then you talk about trust issues as well. Some of those sometimes go together, because if you lack commitment, then therefore you'll have trust issues. If you lack trust, you have trust issues, then you can lack commitment, or your commitment can become tarnished or tainted by the trust issues. Anyway, it's like these two things go hand in hand, because without one, you will have the other. In other words, without commitment, then you experience trust issues. This is a big reason why so many people get hurt in relationships and fail, because some people may have commitment issues out of fear, or they never had a real relationship to model theirs first off, so they simply lack discipline. If it's discipline that you lack, then you need to work on building yourself up and work on preparing yourself for the relationship. If you lack discipline and the ability to commit to others, then you don't need to start a relationship, because it will only lead to someone getting hurt. So that's something you may need to practice as an individual. Walk it out first and then demonstrate it in a relationship. Don't jump into a relationship with just zero commitment and zero dedication and zero discipline and think everything's going to be okay. No, you're going to hurt that person, or that person's going to get hurt. There are so many people walking around with trust issues due to failed relationships and bad experience. While it's important to guard your heart to prevent from getting hurt and falling easy for someone that may not be for you, it's just as important not to cast your doubts and past experiences on the next person. Yes, trust issues are real. And as I said, there's previous relationships that you may have been in that was toxic, that may have damaged your way of thinking. But it's important that you not cast your past issues on a new person that has not done anything to you. Because you got to understand this. When you begin to cast your trust issues on the person that you are trying to start this relationship with, then you're contaminating that person. Why? Because psychologically, if that person's not strong enough, they're going to begin to get angry. They're going to begin to get impatient. They're going to begin to have the very thing that you're speaking over them, trust issues from your past. They're going to begin to have, issues with commitment, that they're going to begin to look for love in other places and look for a way out. Why? Because your trust issues became so toxic to them, and your behavior showed it, that you displayed it to them as if they was the very person who caused you to have these trust issues. Then they're going to walk out the door, and then you're going to end up, once again, the grenade in your hand, blowing up in your face, and hurt, because that person may have done something, stepped out of this relationship, or even done something to walk out the door and just leave you. Because there's so many people walking around with trust issues due to failed relationships and bad experience. While it's important to guard your heart to prevent from getting hurt and falling easy for someone, that may not be easy for all people, but it is important to, guard your heart. But it's just as important, like I said, not to cast your doubts and your past experiences on people. If you push your bad experiences onto the next person, or in your current relationship, then I suggest you take a step back and allow yourself to heal and grow from your past before pursuing something new. If you don't allow yourself to heal, then therefore you're going to contaminate your current relationship. You're going to begin to question everything that person do. You're not going to trust that person completely. Therefore, some people who don't trust a person completely is a person who can lack commitment as well. And if you lack commitment, then that means you're not really committed to that person, which means you might step out and say, oh, well, I thought you was doing this, which is totally wrong. But yet there are people who sit here and say, I thought you may have been cheating on me. I thought this, that, and that, and the third. No, it's just your trust issues creating a false perception in your mind to making you think and perceive this person's behavior in a certain way. When that person may be giving you 100% or more, you're constantly giving this person less because your trust issues. Interrelationship with trust issues or commitment issues can be very toxic because the outcome can be very negative. Remember, it's not a race. There's no need to rush. But yet, it's important to understand to take your time, be patient, make sure you're in the right state of mind, in the right place before you enter a relationship. If you need personal time to heal, then heal. You aren't missing out on anything. And if someone may be interested in you during the healing process, don't be afraid to let them know, hey, I need some time. I need to heal. If you really want to be with me, then, you'll understand. Or you can say, if you want to be with me, just be patient with me. I am growing and I am working on this. And don't just say you're growing and working on something, but never work on it. You have to literally work on it, because if you really like this person, or you really engage or intrigued with this person, therefore you would do everything possible to work on yourself to make sure there are no obstacles in the way of getting with that person, are experiencing true love. Relationships take work, and it takes willing people who are willing to commit, to grow, to change, develop, to compromise for each other. If you're not willing to do any of those things, then you're not willing to make a relationship work. If you're not willing to do any of these things, then you will experience failure. Marriages require the same type of energy and the same type of work, but it takes more for a marriage to work than a relationship. Why? Because there's more commitment. There's more at the table. There's more at stakes. Marriage requires love, patience, understanding, kindness, unity, effort, and so on. You get the point. Marriage is something that you shouldn't treat like a basic relationship. Exiting at the first sign of trouble. Never. You should never do that. You should work it out, because we're human. We all have flaws, and we can work things out. When you are married, you have a bond, a vow, a commitment, and an obligation to each other and your home. And if you have a family, you have an obligation to your family and your kids. Show your kids how strong you are, how strong you need to be in a marriage. Why? Because you don't want your kids going around only with a single parent or a single father or a single mother and saying, hey, well, I don't have the full relationship image. I come from a broken home, so therefore, since my parents didn't work, I don't believe in marriage. No, don't have that type of mindset. You have to work together. You have to fire on all cylinders. You got to make sure everything is great. You have to be strong in marriage, because nobody is perfect, and everyone has flaws and shortcomings they'll experience. No marriage or person is perfect, but the key is to work on yourself, support each other, work with each other, strive to weed out all the flaws and distractions. Even in times your spouse failed to keep a vow or commitment, that should be a time you come together in a greater way to examine the issue and fix it at all costs. Marriage is for the strong. Marriage is not for the weak. Marriage is for those who understand. Marriage is for those who work together to reach a goal for your lives, family, and home. My first marriage didn't work, like I said, because there was obstacles in our way, and we experienced so much and felt so much that we chaos and toxic behavior, that we felt that we didn't even have a good support system in our corner. But you got to understand, when you're married, it's not for you to go knocking on the door of your parents. It's not for you to go knocking on the door of a family and expressing your feelings. No, the Bible talks about how, when you get married, you don't cling to your parents anymore. What? You cling to each other, yet you become one. So that means you have to understand that you have to work together to build a bond, to work through a problem, to work through a certain challenge. You, one-on-one, you and your spouse. You can't depend on other people, because other people may not be on the same page as you, or on the same level as you. Other people may have experienced different types of behavior that may seem similar and give you the wrong advice and misguide you and mislead you. So it's important that you and your spouse become the best of friends. Y'all become the best communicators, a strong team to work together. Once again, I really thank you for tuning into the World Changers podcast. And I hope you enjoy the information and some of the experience that I share with you guys. And I hope that it opens up the mind of many people. Thank you for tuning into World Changers. And this is your host with the most, Isaiah Tariq. And this is episode 2. And I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.